For the first time in 36 years, the Canadiens men's national team is going to the World Cup. Two guys who wore their colors, John Limniadis and Patrice Bernier, are pretty happy guys. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to celebrate coming up on the Sick Podcast.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro. The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup.
Sports entertainment like no other. Brought to you by 8.6 Beer, intense by nature, and La Cage. If the last time you went to La Cage was when the Habs won the Cup, it's time you went back to La Cage. The menu will surprise you.
Marinaro, the Sick Podcast, one team, one dream. They got it done. We're going to talk about the Canadiens men's national team in just a second because they have qualified for the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. But it is the Sick Podcast, and you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at the Sick Podcast, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's absolutely free. Tell your friends about it, and you can get notified when we upload an episode or when we go live. It's brought to you by 8.6 Beer, intense by nature like me and like the Canadian men's national team. The beer for those who follow their instinct and live their passions in order to make their mark. And La Cage. If the last time you went to La Cage was when the Habs won the Cup, you're missing out, because I went on Sunday and I went on Saturday. I went the last 2 days, Sunday in LaSalle, Saturday at the Carey location. But if the last time you went is when the Habs won the Cup, it's time you go back to La Cage. The menu will surprise you. And the Canadiens men's national team is now surprising no one, because we knew they were good going into World Cup qualifying. We probably didn't know they were this good, but now they're no longer a surprise. And joining me right now, no surprise to Canadian soccer fans and soccer fans in the province of Quebec, especially from our very own La Belle Province, John Limniadis.
Good morning, Tony, or good afternoon, Tony.
Good afternoon, it is.
By the way, I was at Cage Sport. I was at Cage.
Yeah.
Last Saturday evening.
Is that right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
The one at Place Belle.
Oh, that's very, very nice. Okay, good to hear it. And Patrice Bernier.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
It's going good, Pat. It's going good. Pat, John, you both wore the colors of the Canadiens men's national team. Pat, you're with TVA Sports now, spreading the word and talking soccer. I know you did so for One Soccer as well over the past couple of games. John writes about soccer in the Journal de Montréal. So today, for me to have both of you played for the Canadiens men's national team, it's pretty cool. John, no comment on Italy. You were talking to me about them before the show. All right, John, if I would have told you a year ago Canada's going to qualify for the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, you would have said what?
Not surprising. I think the team going in is quite talented and very athletic and quite deep. So it's not a big surprise for me.
Same question for you, Pat.
No, I expected them to maybe not finish first, but I expected them to take in third position to qualify, because we all thought Mexico and USA would dominate the group. But no surprise that they're going to the World Cup.
All right. Okay. So now another question. The fact that they have a record of 8-1-4, they only lost one game versus Costa Rica. The amount of clean sheets is unbelievable. The fact that they've outscored the opposition the way they have and the amount of goals they've scored. Pat, how surprised are you or not of the fact they've only had one loss in the World Cup qualifying here in the last stage, and the amount of goals they've scored?
Yeah, scoring, I thought, no, that's not going to be a problem, because the quality of players and the depth of players they have. We all thought defensively that could be might be an issue. Of course, having played, and John knows it, going away, I would have thought Mexico, that's difficult. USA, those are places where you didn't think they could get those points. Away, other places, Honduras, Jamaica, I thought maybe they can grab a point, but no, they did it well. Only one loss. Fantastic results and dominating CONCACAF, which I don't think nobody expected this way of qualification.
John, we're going to go back 4 years if we can, all right? It was just over 4 years ago that the Canadiens men's national team hired John Herdman to take over at the helm of the men's program. He had led the women to a World Cup in the past. In what was a very unconventional move at the time, John, let's be honest here, hiring the former women's coach to coach the men's team. I don't know if you've seen that anywhere else in the world. I don't know if it's ever happened before. There was a lot of doubt 4 years ago, but clearly there wasn't with people like Canada Soccer. 4 years later, John, they were proven right.
Yes, I totally agree. I think it was a bit, I wouldn't say controversial, but it was a bit surprising because he's never really been on the men's side of soccer. So for me, was a little bit, like everybody else, I had a little bit of doubt. But at the end of the day, we know that John Herdman is somebody that's organized, somebody that has a plan. He knows where to get to and when to get to as far as the objectives that he sets. So we knew that he was going to coach the team well, or at least have a plan, but we didn't know how he was going to succeed. With his plan and the way he is as an organizer and as a motivator, together with this bunch of players that, like I said before, are quite talented, quite athletic, I think he also profited from the fact that he had this team in his hands.
Pat, some will call it a cult mentality, call it whatever you want, but I think it's obvious, even without being on the inside. Now, you two have access to more players than I would, so you would know a little bit more, but it really shows that he created a spirit within the group, a spirit of belief. And, they are tight. They took no nonsense from nobody in this World Cup qualifying. They were not intimidated when they played in some hostile environments. And clearly, one of his greatest accomplishments, speaking of John Herdman, is he made this group believe.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I remember if you read some of the words of Lucas Cavallini after the game, he said on the first day when John Herdman talked about us, 2022, not 2026, 2022, he said, I was skeptical, but 3 years later, we're here and we believe that, or we believed that we could be here and that we could succeed in CONCACAF. So he did a great job instilling a mentality, a belief, the brotherhood, like they like to call it, where a culture, like any club, a club level team where you have a good team spirit, you tend to be able to do even more than maybe what was expected. High level, John can talk about it also. It's usually mental. Those guys have a skill set. They're good, but now how good do they believe they are? And where do they think they can reach? And that's where John Herdman optimized that group and pushed it to its limit. And now their journey is bringing them to Qatar, and who knows what they could do over there. Because, he had great talent, but there's been talent before there. But it never reached the max. And now he got to Octagon and finished first in CONCACAF. Not just qualified, finished first in the group.
John?
He took a bit of the model, I guess, from what he had from the girls. The girls were very close together. You could tell that they had a harmony. They were attached. The sisterhood, I guess, in the other side of the brotherhood. I think he kind of took the same model, the same way. This generation needs motivation, in my opinion. This generation needs to believe, needs somebody to help them believe. I don't think it was like that when I played, because we didn't need as much motivation as maybe they need now, or inspiration, because it was kind of what it's supposed to be. But I think this generation needed to get boosted a little bit for them to believe, like Pat said, on how good they actually are and what they can accomplish.
He definitely got them up and running. Speaking of running, matrixhomefitness.ca. You can check them out. I got myself a treadmill. John, no comment. The T75 with the 22-inch XUR console screen. Bring it home. Discover a club quality workout in the comfort of your own home. Visit matrixhomefitness.ca, and you can go to sportbuffshop.com for all of your officially licensed sports apparel. I know they're going to have Canada gear going forward. They already have some already. And our SICK merchandise. One team, one dream. Use code SICK15 for 15% off on all of their items. Gentlemen, you both represented the Canadiens men's national team. John, 1 minute for you. Pat, 1 minute for you. Can you share your experiences of just where the program was, where it is now, and the pride that you have taken in seeing it do what it did yesterday, winning in style?
Well, for me, it's seeing, first of all, the stadium with very little away fans cheering for a team. I think that's something that has changed quite a bit. When you go to stadiums now and you watch Canada play, most of the fans are Canadian. You see Canadian flags, you see all kinds of stuff that you kind of see in Europe, which in my time, we didn't see it as often. Obviously, the stadiums were not as big, but at the same time, you got to see a lot of foreign fans into the stadium, which you don't see lately. So that part has changed. And obviously, the fact that in my case, we played in big games, but we never went to the World Cup. So I hope we take advantage of this to grow our sport to be as big as it could be in our country.
Pat, I remember watching games where there were hundreds of fans in attendance. Yesterday at BMO Field, over 29,000 in a beautiful sea of red with flags waving everywhere. The players were greeted a couple of hours before the game. The flares, the smoke, the colors. It was beautiful. Talk to me about when you were there, Pat, and where it is now.
John mentioned it. I remember when we played there against Jamaica, 2008, for the World Cup 2010, and it was a pro-Jamaican crowd. Even they had a national anthem singer who was Jamaican. So now you look at it that they got the advantage, meaning playing at home, playing Canadian Nordic temperature, putting the opposition in difficulty, not playing in heat, not playing in altitude. And yeah, sea of red, people there, the fans, the 12 players, a big motivator and a factor. And a lot of times, sometimes we played and the stadium wasn't full. It was either a good percentage of away fans, and now it was full Canadian. You barely heard the Jamaicans, and they played. Yesterday it was freezing cold, but it's an advantage. They took it, ran with it, and I will say that John Herman injected, or not just belief, but he went to get some pockets, to get a lot of money. The team flew in first class. John knows sometimes you have to fly. You were in commercial. You had to take 2-3 flights. Now he knows those guys are playing in prestigious clubs. They have to be rested, recover. He did everything possible to put these players in the best condition to succeed. And that's something I don't think we saw back then, where we had to fight for scrapes to just get to one stadium, or to, John probably talked about just parking lot tickets, stuff like that. Or back then it was like, so be it. And now he just said, no, there's no cutting corners. We have to do everything possible to put these players in the best conditions, like they are at their club, and to perform for us with the Canadian national team. And look, now they got the result.
John, they have another game in Panama on Wednesday night. Panama's out. For Canada, you keep winning because you want to be in a pot, so they with lesser quality teams, of course, to give yourself a better chance. So we don't know who they're going to play yet. The World Cup draw goes on Friday, and at that point, we'll know which group they're in. Are you prepared to say that Canada, even without knowing the group, will win a game in the 2022 World Cup, John? Are you prepared to say that you feel confident about them having the ability to win a game?
Of course, it depends on the group, but yes, I do. I think they will win a game.
Pat, in ending, Jonathan David, Kyle Larin, we're seeing players who can put the ball in the net. Eustáquio, of course, is a fantastic midfielder. Everyone's got a story. Milan Borjan made big saves. We could talk about CF Montreal players, Kamal Miller and Alistair Johnston doing real good job in the back line throughout World Cup qualifying. But between now and the World Cup, which will start on the 21st of November and end on the 18th of December, let's not be surprised if Ismaël Koné has his say, huh?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised that maybe he plays much more significant minutes against Panama. Young player, John has been big on terms of trying to get every player possible who's Canadian, who has Canadian descent, to play for Canada and be part of this group. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Ismaël Koné play a little bit more. You saw in 10 minutes, he didn't look out of place. And I think that's great because the players are taking care of him. And now we're watching a lot more young players who are choosing for Canada, or at least I think it's Flores, who's Mexican-Canadian and who's undecided. While in the past, you knew most players, they would have chosen Mexico or another country that gave them more possibilities to go to the World Cup.
Guys, thanks so much for spreading the word. Thanks so much for inspiring the generation of players to come. Thanks so much for continuing to coach and teach and educate the young soccer players in this province, the boys and girls. Thanks for coming together. Guys, we're going to the World Cup, baby. We're going to the World Cup.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Take it easy, Tony. Take it easy.
Hey, take it easy. You want to get to the World Cup also.
We're going to the World Cup. Guys, thanks for doing this. Everyone, tell your friends about it. It's the Sick Podcast with the guy who's sick. I'm Marinero. He's John Limniadis. Petrus Bernier. Merci, les gars. We're going to the World Cup, baby.
Thank you, guys.
See you guys. All right, have a good one. Until the next time, the Sick Podcast.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinero on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by 8.6, Intense by Nature, and La Cage. If the last time you went to La Cage was when the Habs won the cup, it's time you went back to La Cage. The menu will surprise you.